Hello and welcome back to High and Tight on GameTimeCT. I'm Scott Ericson. We are joined as always by Pete Paguaga. Pete, how you doing, buddy?
Good. It's crazy. We're already looking towards conference tournaments, and I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but we're already at April 18th. We're recording this in less than 2 months, or we're going to be at Palmer Field.
We're past the quarter part of the season. Some teams, Woodland's played 8 games. They're almost at the halfway point of the season.
That's a lot of luck.
It's
no
so
rain.
fast. It's so fast. It's such a fast sprint of a season, and if you blink, you might miss something. And there's been some really good performances the last week from teams. A couple no-hitters, a couple combined no-hitters. That stuff will all be on GameTimeCT and the top performers and games to watch. I know we have a few really good games to watch coming up this week. Next week, it looks like on a Monday, we may get the Kyle Kipp versus Hero Wyatt, West Hill versus Staples game, if things work out. So that would be exciting, and highly recommend anyone who can go get down to West Hill and then find a place at that field to actually see the game. That game, if any game deserves to be played at Cubetta, it's that one.
Yeah.
But that game's going to be at West Hill. And we have a new number one team in our poll.
You tell me. You put it together.
That's right. I just did it. The Xavier. It's Xavier. Xavier's new number one team. A bunch of teams received first place votes, including Ward, who's still getting first place votes. Staples, Windsor all got first place votes, but by 8 points. It was Xavier taking the top spot. I think they had the top spot for a week last year.
Yep.
Maybe 2 weeks. Pretty
sure they
weeks
did. Last year, yeah.
Yeah, really good program there. They're playing really well. They're the only undefeated team left in Double L. They're the only undefeated team left in the SEC. So we're getting to that point too, where teams are getting knocked off. You're running out of pitching, and you're running into teams that are really good. Woodland, that team that we just mentioned, that they beat St. Joe's over the weekend. Then St. Joe's comes back and beats Ward on Monday. When the pitching's refreshed, and it's just going to be a wild season. I think there's no one I think is going to pull away and be a clear-cut dominant team. Even when you look at Woodland, who's in the poll now, they played a very close game with Wolcott. They got to play St. Paul. So things are going to be tough for them, in the top half of the NBL anyway. I don't see any team right now that is just going to be dominant. We'll see how Windsor does. Windsor's got a tough week with Newington and Southington coming up. They're undefeated in the CCC. So we'll see. I think a week from now, we'll be dwindled. The number of unbeatens will be dwindled greatly.
Yeah, I'm still at a weird spot with my poll. I kept it a lot intact from my first 2 weeks. I still think it is too early to tell to move teams around and say this team's the number one team. I think Xavier is very good. But look, they beat Ward 2-1 in a really good game. But other than that, Shelton, really young Shelton team they beat. Boren, Branford, okay. Amity 14-8. We saw Amity last week. Not the Amity teams of old, and they beat North Haven 3-0. So, look, the Ward win's great. I'm not taking that away from them, but I kind of want to see more out of Xavier before I start throwing my number one vote around. So I kind of kept it intact. Do I think Fairfield Ward's the number one team in the state right now? Because I think for baseball, it's not football. I say it all the time, but you can't just jumble it around. It's, the games are different. It's your best team's not on the field every week or every game. And I'm going with program right now, the first couple of weeks of the season. There will be maybe at the midseason point, I'll throw my poll out and start from scratch. And it's not saying that Xavier doesn't deserve to be the number one team. I'm sure Nick is going to look at this poll and be like, great, target on our back again. Thank you. But, they've been playing really well. Windsor, to be honest, I need to see more out of them. I do. They go and they play in Florida, which is great. We don't know anything about those Florida teams. We don't know how good they are or how not good they are, or
Well,
Windsor.
you'll see this week. I mean, you're playing two ranked teams this week,
Oh,
Newington and
ranked teams on certain people's polls. I'll tell you this: I've never voted for Newington, and it's not a knock against them. They just don't play anybody. Nothing in Newington's schedule jumps out to me and says, "Oh my God, top 10 team." So I'm really looking at that Windsor Southington game as because I think Southington's a really good program, and that'll be a big one for Windsor. Trumbull, we saw good. They stole one against Amity because they folded in that sixth inning. I mean, yikes! But they were able to hold on, and that's what you have to do. You have to win those games. Like, yeah, it just was a bad stretch. Amity's a good team; they're going to fight, and Trumbull was able to win. You can't play like that in the FCI tournament or the state tournament, or you'll be going home. But I think Trumbull's a really good team. Staples sitting at 4, I think, is a head scratcher for me. I think they're better than Trumbull. I think they're better than Windsor. And I think they're better than Xavier. I think that they lost in extra innings 8-7 to Prep, or was it the 7th inning they got walked off on? Okay. Ward drops down to
1 run.
To 5. That was after Ward had 2 losses. Not because
so Ward has 3 losses.
Okay. Now they have 3.
By 3 combined runs.
Yeah.
Because they lost yesterday to St. Joe's by runs. Every game they've lost is a 1-run baseball game.
It's a baseball.
Anyone involved with baseball knows that is close. I mean,
I love Woodland. I think, Coach Boehner does a great job. He's a fan favorite on this show. The St. Joe's win is awesome for them. But the NVL as a whole doesn't stoke excitement. St. Paul's down this year. Holy Cross is doing what they do in the regular season. Let's see it in the postseason. Southington's still there. I think they're really good. Newington, I said my piece on Newington. Hamden gets in the poll after a great start and then loses last night to Shelton. That's a game Hamden's got to win. They have West Hill. That's a completion game coming up because I think
they have to drive to West Hill Saturday to play 1 inning, essentially.
Well, they should play games earlier because there were too many games getting called for darkness at the beginning of the season. And then Glastonbury, great win against Southington. They're 5-1. Still a lot to see. We talked about it with Coach last week, Southington. The CCC is so hard to read. It's not, yes, Pete is biased against the CCC. That's what everyone thinks. We should make T-shirts. But in the SCC, the SWC, the FCI, you see these teams play each other. And the CCC is so gosh darn big that sometimes you don't get to see those. So they might have an easier schedule. Not saying Glastonbury, but a CCC team could jump out to a hot start, and you look at their schedule and you're like, they haven't played anybody. They're 8-0 and you have to win the games ahead of you, but, are you that good or whatever? So I think it's still really early. So I've just been hanging tight with my poll. I'm trying to see a lot more chips fall, a lot more cards to be shown before I kind of crumple up my poll and throw it out the window and start over, which is what I'll probably do around midseason, maybe, unless something drastic happens. But Xavier, 6-0, only undefeated team left in Double L and SEC. Well-deserved number 1. Nick does a great job up there. I just hope that this is a team that can put it together, going forward. They had a really talented team last year, lost in the SEC finals to Fairfield Prep, and then got bounced by a really good pitching performance in Danbury. They went home, and I think there was a lot left on that table, a lot to be desired with that team. So maybe they're playing with a chip on their shoulder. I'm all about that. So congrats to them.
Another team that picked up a vote, and in my memory of doing the poll, they are the first CTC team to pick up a vote, is Abbott Tech. Abbott Tech, we're going to talk to their coach, Dave Simone, coming up here in a little bit. They are playing legitimately good baseball. They are beating teams from the SWC. They had New Canaan beat and had 1 bad inning that got away from them, gave up 6 runs in 1 inning. But they have scored 82 runs. They've given up 10, including the 6 to New Canaan. They are a good baseball team, whether they are a tech school or not. We're going to talk to the coach about it, but they are to be taken seriously in Class M. And I know you and I have talked about it off the air that we think that they can make a little bit of a run too.
Yeah,
I mean, there's a long way to go in the season, but
Yeah, I've seen them at least once every year the last couple of years because they're always playing in the CTC final. And the CTC final is always played in a doubleheader with the Shoreline final. So I go to Palmer, I get my hot
I
dogs.
love, by the way, that's so great. Yeah.
Oh, it's so cool. And so you get to cover both. And I've seen them and I've talked to Coach Simone a bunch. They've just run into some weird things, but you see, we talk about it in the interview. He's up the ante on his at a conference schedule. He's not just playing CTC schools or lower end, conferences just to fill out his schedule. Like he's challenging his guys. I mean, look, if we look from last year, they lost to New Canaan 21-5. They lost to New Canaan 8-5 this year, right? Like it's baseball. You can't really put a ton of weight into that, but for a program, you gave up 21, not that, moral victories or whatever, but I think Abbott Tech's going in the right direction. I think this is a program that can compete in Class M, depending on, the bracket and the way the chips fall for them. Because like we talked about it in the interview, you look at M, there's a lot of NVLs, a lot of NCCCs, a lot of tech schools, and then there's St. Joe's and Sheehan and Jonathan Law, who come from these big conferences, Joel Barlow, SWC. So, like, you need a little bit of luck. You can go and get a home seed and be awesome and then be like, oh, we get, not St. Joe's this year because they're really good, but like a down year St. Joe's with 8 wins is still a pretty darn good team in Class M. So, you need a little luck there.
I mean, Law is probably going to get in the tournament. They're 3-5 right now. But if you run into one of their 2 pitchers early on in the tournament, you could get bounced. Run into a good pitcher like we talk about all the time. So that Class M tournament is going to be fascinating when the seeds come out. Just fascinating.
Yeah.
But let's get to our interview. Let's get to our interview with Coach Dave Simone, now in his 10th season at Abbott Tech. We are joined now on High and Tight by Abbott Tech coach Dave Simone. Dave, welcome to the show. We're excited to have you here.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, you're our first CTC coach, so this is a big day for the league.
Oh, I didn't know that. Well, I'm happy to represent the CTC.
Hey, you guys are off to a fantastic start so far, scoring a lot of runs, pitching really well. What's been working for you guys so far early in the season?
Well, first things first, our chemistry. We have a great group of guys that played together for a long time. So our chemistry is really hitting right now. So that always helps. And then on the field, our pitching's been really good. Our pitchers are getting ahead, throwing strikes, and then we're getting some timely hitting and good defense. So when you do those 3 things, you're going to be in every single ball game you play. So far so good. We're going to try to continue that going forward. But the biggest thing I see is my group. We've been going at this all year round. These guys play summer ball, fall ball. We do winter workouts. So these guys prepared and ready. And we're just trying to click on all cylinders here in the spring.
Are you playing a lot of seniors, juniors? What's your lineup made up of?
We got a mix. We got 4 seniors. We got a couple juniors, and we also have a couple sophomores, and then also a couple freshmen. So we're very balanced, top to bottom, which we're fortunate enough to have. So
there's the bell.
Yeah,
by that time. Who's been pitching for you? I mean, your pitching's been fantastic. I mean, you've had one bad inning essentially all year. You gave up 6 runs to New Canaan, and otherwise, you've been shutting teams down.
Yeah. So it starts off with my senior captain, Tyler Meeks. He's pitched great. He just had a great outing against Wolcott Tech up at Fusion Stadium up in Torrington. And then a sophomore named Mason Berna. He's a newcomer. This is his first year on varsity. He pitched yesterday against Goodwin Tech up at the New Britain B Stadium. And he's the one the pitch started against New Canaan and threw great. And then my ace from last year, Brendan Stein, who's had sort of a bum elbow, has only pitched 1 inning. So, he's still on the mend. We're working him way back. So he should be getting some innings this week and then probably full go by next week. And, then we got a couple of relievers, Tyler Waterbury and then Robbie Briggs. So we're fortunate to have enough arms. We pretty much have 5 arms. We've been mixing in, trying to limit the pitch count here so guys don't get burnt out later in the year. But top 2 guys right now, I would say, is Tyler Meeks and Mason Berna.
Yeah, Coach, you mentioned the New Canaan game that you guys played earlier this year, and I was doing some
Yeah.
research before this interview, and I noticed a big change from the 2019 season to when we came back post-pandemic. And I looked at your schedule and I looked at, the teams that you played. Was there a conscious effort made to pick up more non-league opponents on your schedule? Because in 2019, you have Bassick, you have Bridgeport Central, Harding, Wamogo, a Berkshire League team, Shelton, a really good SEC program, and Immaculate, which I assume is kind of a Danbury type game because they're in Danbury, you guys are in Danbury. Then you fast forward to 2021, and it's Immaculate, Pomperaug, New Canaan, still Wamogo, and Immaculate again. And then this year's kind of the same thing. Was that a conscious decision to be like, all right, we can win in this league. We know we can win in this league. Now we want to do something on the state level. So let's play teams that are outside of our conference here that are some high level programs.
Yeah, no, that was all by design. And I make sure, we're scheduling games that we can compete in. And, and the way I work the scheduling was, I like staying in the Berkshire League. I think that's a good league for us to compete in. And then the Immaculate thing, that's where I went to high school. That's something we've been doing every year since I've been here. We play them twice every single year. And then, Pomperaug was a new addition. And then New Canaan's have been the last few years. And, I preach to my guys this off season is competing at the non-league level and not just in our conference, but we want to beat the public schools. We want to beat the private schools. We want to be able to compete top to bottom on our schedule and not just in our conference, but also, in those games. And we've done a fantastic job this year so far. Played well against Pomperaug. And then that New Canaan game, we played great for 5 innings. And then, Mead Park, I don't know if you've ever been there, the tree played a factor at one.
Did the ball go in the tree?
Center field. Yeah. I had my guys back and they have a really good player. I think it was the center fielder and he hits a shot. But my guy was camping under it and just boom, hit the tree and turned into, I think, a triple and then I think he got home on a pass ball. So it was just a couple of those things, but they played a really great game as well. But, we were able to compete with them, at double L school. Are they double L or L? I forget.
L.
Yeah,
L school. Yeah. An L school like
Still,
that. And we were able to compete with them. Yeah. We were able to compete with them and that, and that builds our confidence up and, for the state tournament. Cause we want to make a run in the state tournament. We don't want to be a one and done team at a state tournament. So getting these guys those reps and that confidence is huge for us. And that was a point of emphasis going into this year was be able to compete with those public schools.
Yeah, I mean, just looking the last, kind of post-pandemic, missing the 2020 season, seems like a lot of things have changed. But, that first year, 2021, you guys get Norwich Tech in the first round, you beat them, then you lose to an ECC school in Bacon, but you start playing that out of conference schedule. And then last year, you lose to Ledyard, an ECC school, but only by 1. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if you're a believer of, mental wins or whatever, but like for that program, like when you look at the schools, the tech schools in the tournament and some of the results, they're not 1-run games. They're not 5-4, they're a little bit more drastic on the other end, but here you guys competing and, you've been the coach there for 10 years, obviously, but it was a change of philosophy for the schedule. And you talk about, now you guys don't want to be one and dones in the playoffs. Even though you lost last year in the first round to really, Ledyard's a really good program. Was there something to take away from that game to be like, all right, one thing goes our way, we're going to the next round, like we can compete here. Like we know we can.
Yeah, that Ledyard game was a tough game because that was another game we were winning all game. And, we were up, I think 2 or 3 runs and then we had a routine ground ball and, errors happened. And then extended the inning, it was 2 outs, and the next guy hit a 3-run home run to take the lead. So that was a tough one. So moral victories are you can have them, but last game of the season that one stung a little bit, and especially because the group I have, they play all year round. They play travel ball, they play fall ball, and all that stuff. So these guys are competing with these guys outside of the season, so they know they can compete with these guys. So I don't have to hype them up and tell them what that these guys are public school. It doesn't matter to them. So, yeah, it was a nice moral victory that we were able to compete with them, but these guys want more. We're not satisfied. I think, in the early years, a few years ago, maybe 2018, 19, when we're starting to make the turn in the program. But now we're at a point in the program where we're here. We compete with it. We're not going to be intimidated. And we're going to go out there and play a good 7 innings.
You guys playing in the CTC, you guys face some unique challenges. You have kids who work, I assume, and some things that the public schools and other schools don't deal with. What's that like with that balance and coaching a CTC team?
Oh, it's different. Coaching in the CTC is very, very different compared to a public school or private school because, like you said, it's a different type of kid because these kids are coming here to learn a trade first and then playing athletics. At a public school, you're pretty much, or the private schools, a lot of these kids are going to get an education, but also too the athletics is right there evenly. But here at tech school, it's more predominantly, they're learning a trade, and then athletics is secondary to it, and we're not getting the top tier athlete, per se. So dealing with those things, and and when I first got here, nobody was playing in the summer. Nobody was playing outside the season. Nobody was playing fall ball. So none of that infrastructure was here. So it took time to build that up. And that was one of the reasons why I started coaching Legion, was to give kids an affordable option, to play in the summer that can't afford the price tag of some of these clubs teams. So that's how I started with Danbury Legion. But, it is a different beast. It's a different mindset. You're not getting the more polished athlete per se. So you got to coach them up and deal with those things. But if you can coach here, you can coach anywhere. I always tell coaches that because you deal with a lot of different things, variables that you won't see at the public or private level.
You must have some really mentally tough kids, I would think. Is that stuff kind of more ingrained in them?
100%. Blue collar kids, great kids, work hard. They have a good work ethic. They don't complain. They go out there, they do their job. I also got great parents. You never had issue with parents here. So, from that standpoint, there's pros and cons in every program. From that standpoint, it's a very big pro. So, the work ethic, we take pride in taking care of our field. So right when we get to the field, they know how to prep it, get it ready. Boom. When we're done with the field, they know how to put everything away, prep it, and then that's it, because they're doing that in their trade anyways in school. So that carries right over. So very good work ethic. So, from that standpoint, it's a joy to be around a lot of these kids, really.
Coach, about the CTC, when people talk about the CTC sports, like Scott mentioned, they're all going for something else. There have been some good ball players who have come out of this conference and played at the next level. I mean, Tim Cate, he's with the Nationals in the minor leagues, went to UConn, was a star at UConn. Like, he pitched in the CTC. Like, he's not just a Connecticut kid, but he pitched and won in the CTC and on the state level. Jack Rich from Wilcox Tech, I covered him when I was at the Record Journal. He played at Eastern, helped them win a national championship last year. Like, it's not just, they're CTC, they're going to go and they're going to do great things with their jobs. I mean, I know some kids who graduated CTCs who are making buku bucks a couple of years out of college, and they're not worried about student debt. Let me tell you, as someone who finally paid off their master's degree loan at the age of 33, but like, you can still go and play in college if you want. It's not like, for me personally, where I grew up, we didn't have tech school options. Like, they were after school programs. So you would have to do your 8-9 hours in school and then go do it. Where when I came to Connecticut, one of my roommates in college went to Vinyl. And I was so perplexed by this because he's like, I was doing this in electricity. I'm like, wait, what? And he's like, like, we actually do this. But it gives you the options where you can go into the workforce if that's what you want to do, or you can go to college if you want to play sports, or you just want to go to college and go for something else. I think it's incredible. I feel like it's in the sports world, it feels like it's like not talked down upon, but talked differently. It's like, well, if you go to a CTC school, like, you're not going to play in college. And I don't think that that's fair. And that's not accurate. Like, I say that for a fact. Like, that is not an accurate statement. Have you had guys who have gone on and played at the college level?
Yep. Actually, I have Cody Waterbury. He was a graduate in 2020. He got hit with the COVID year. One of the best players to come through here, and unfortunately didn't have a senior year. And he's playing at Western New England right now. Having a great year, batting middle of the order. Yeah, batting middle of the order, starting. And another kid, I think he's a 2019 grad, Stanley Roman. He's playing at Western Connecticut right now. But then probably my best pitcher I ever had, Brian Aguilera. I believe he was a 2018, 2017 grad. He was mid 80s, 87, topping out 88. He was getting looks from Southern Connecticut, but he wanted to be an electrician, went into the trade, and decided that, which is, nothing wrong with that. So we've had talented players to come through here. And in the group that's coming up, there's going to be a couple kids that, are going to be playing in college as well on the current team. So there has been kids, like you said, it's if you want to play at college, you can do it if that's what you want. It doesn't matter where you go to school. If you want to do it and you can pursue it and you go down the right paths, it's feasible.
Is
so,
that
that's what I like to do.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is that something though that you have to sell the kids on when they come to the school and join the program, where it's just I'm just here to kind of have fun, and you're like, no, you can do this if you want. This is not the end of the road for you.
Yeah, we have that. We have those talks here, and I know the kids that do want to go play at the next level, and I know the kids that don't want to go play at the next level. And I make sure I have those conversations with the parents and the players. I met with a few of my players this year to discuss those options and how to go about it. The best ways, and make sure that they're getting looks and going to the right schools and all that kind of thing. So, it's not for everybody at this program, but there is a few that do want to do it. So, and I have the experience, I played college baseball, and, I've seen that other side of it, and I know how the recruiting process works. So being able to guide them and give them the tools to figure all that out is helpful for them. And I fully see about 2 or 3 of these kids on my roster right now going playing at college baseball at some point, at some level.
Nice. The one of the aces for the Southern team, Tommy Hughes, is a CTC kid. I don't know where he went exactly. Goodwin Tech.
Goodwin Tech. Yep. Very good pitcher.
Jumping back to Legion just for a second, you guys won the state last year, and you got to coach. You coached with Sean Ratchford. What's that like, and what are you taking away from working with him, the Danbury head coach, who's been doing this forever?
Yeah, Ratch. I actually just was on the phone with him last night. I talk to Ratch all the time. He's a great coach. He's a great resource, knows the game, been around forever. And that last summer team was so much fun to coach. That was one of the best times I ever had on a baseball field, player or coach. And it was just a fantastic summer. And being with Ratch has helped me out, learning the game a little bit more, learning some of his stuff he uses at Danbury High, and that I imply, that I use here now at Abbott. But, he's just a huge resource of baseball information that I pick his brain. I was picking his brain last night about a couple things. So, we talk daily, and he's a great guy, always trying to help. And I'm luckily, with the Legion relationship that we got a little bit closer. And it was just a really, really fun summer.
Are you bunting more now? Are you bunting more now?
Yeah, no, I love
the same thing.
No, we bunt. I delay steal. I don't want to get too many of my secrets away, right. But trash is good for the delay steal, and that that's where I picked it up years ago. But no, there's a lot of things I picked up from Coach Ratch. He's got a lot up his sleeve.
Oh, you got to get Danbury on the schedule now.
We scrimmaged them early on in the year at the Danbury Dome. It was an indoor scrimmage. But yeah, maybe, I was talking about maybe we do it at Dunkin' Donuts. We'll go up there and have a game. We'll get a little decent crowd. So, well, that's something we've talked about.
Yeah. What is it? What's it about this group that gets you excited? Obviously, you played the out of conference schedule really well to start the year. You're one of the favorites in the CTC, if not the favorite. At least year in and year out. You guys are the defending CTC champions. But what is special about this group that, that you guys potentially could take that next step at the state level?
Well, we just have some talent. We got talent almost at pretty much every position that we returned from last year. We only lost 2 starters from last year's team. 2 outfielders. So returning that championship roster and then adding a couple freshmen that are helping out right away, and the sophomores now who are freshmen last year, adding into that as well, is just a good group of kids that, like I keep saying, have played all year round. These kids, play in the summer ball, play fall ball, work out all winter. So these guys are baseball players. They're hungry. So they know how to carry themselves on and off the field. They know what it takes, and it helps. Great coaching helps, no doubt about it. Good coaching, but you need talent. And I'm fortunate I have talent to work with here, and to mold, and they want to get better. They're very, very coachable, which makes my job a lot easier.
Scoring 82 runs is not bad either.
No, it helps. It helps. Hey, you guys got to come down and see our field down here. It's a nice hitter's ballpark. So
is it? What do you got? You got a short porch? What do you got?
Yeah, I sent you I saw that you were looking.
Oh, did you send me one? I'll have to look.
Yeah, I sent you one.
Okay.
It's a nice ballpark for hitters. But yeah, no, we have a big retainer wall. It's like a green monster from left field to center. It's very, very unique.
Ooh, maybe I got to go take some BP there. I got to go take some BP in there to up my confidence.
BP. We got a hitting turtle. I throw good BP. So whenever you want, just let me know. I got a rubber arm. I could throw.
I'm gonna have to stretch a little bit.
Yeah, come on down.
You took it where'd you take it a few years ago, Pete? Hand?
Oh yeah, they had me take BP at hand with an aluminum bat, and I was like, I'm gonna crank these balls. It's an aluminum bat. Let's go. I think I flew out solid contact. I was like, ooh, and it was 30 feet into the outfield. I was like, you know what? I just don't got it anymore.
You lose it quick in this game.
Yeah,
real quick.
I switched over to softball 10 years ago. Little arc action. Yeah, I'm a slap hitter to right field. That's where I live. I'm not a power guy. Never been a power guy.
That's it. That's it. Get on base.
Exactly.
Utilize that speed.
And especially with softball, get on base. Hey, Blue, I need a runner. And then I'm off. I'm off, baby.
Yeah.
You're getting pinch run for in men's softball?
Well, that's the beauty. I'm the oldest one on my team. So they're if anyone needs a pinch runner, we're gonna take Pete off. And then I solidify. I always make sure. So I'm either playing first or second or right center. So I always get there early to make sure we get the first base dugout. So I have the shortest route to my position.
Yeah, that's a veteran move.
Absolutely.
Next level.
I want to go from right field to the third base dugout. I'll be by the pitcher's mound the 5th pitch of the inning.
Yeah.
All right, Pete, what's our draft?
It's all the years of squatting and catching since I was 7 years old, man. My knees are shot.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I feel you on that.
All right, so we're going to do the... Coach, wait, did you catch? Were you a catcher?
I was a catcher.
Where'd you play college ball? You mentioned you played college ball.
I went to UConn-Avery Point, and then I finished up at Western.
Oh, nice. UConn-Avery Point. Sean Ratchford's son is the head coach there now, right?
Yeah, when I was playing there, I played for the legendary Roger Bidwell.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, I had a couple of friends from Southern who went to Avery Point and came to Southern who played for him. They raved about him.
Coach Bidwell was the best coach I ever played for, hands down.
Great program. I have
been phenomenal.
I have a Rajah Davis UConn-Avery Point bobblehead somewhere. I got it once.
He came down to a few practices. He came down a few practices when I was there and hit with us and stuff and talked to us a few times. Good guy.
It was awesome. It was a Connecticut Tigers game, and they were doing a giveaway, and it was a Rajah Davis local bobblehead, and it's UConn. I have it somewhere. I'll take a picture.
That's pretty cool.
It to you. Yeah, it was very cool. I think I got it the next year. He hit the home run in Game 7 of the World Series.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, the Cubs are going to lose, but at least the local guy did something. That's cool.
Yeah.
And then the rain delay happened.
He's not even a home run hitter.
No, that was cool. I mean, as much as I was rooting for the Cubs, I'm like, oh, if anyone's going to do anything in this game, the new London guy, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, all right. So we're going to do our draft. We let you know about it beforehand. You prepared, which I love. Very happy. I have a list as well. I don't know, Scott. Scott, you always write stuff down. I know you have your notepad next to you. Yeah. Scott's got his notepad. Always has his notepad. So
I'm always prepared, man.
I
So we
like
talked
it.
about this last week. We're going to do it this week. The draft is going to be pet peeves in baseball. Now, this is kind of a broad one. It could be on the field, off the field, part of the game, whatever. But yeah, so we're gonna keep it fun. We'll keep it open, very broad. Coach, you're gonna go first, and sure, our guest. I'm gonna go. Scott's gonna go second because I went second last time. And it's gonna be a snake, so it's gonna go Coach, then Scott, then Pete again, then Scott, then Coach for 2, Scott, and then I'll have the last pick. We'll do 3 rounds. Keep it kind of fun and short and not, too crazy long. So, Coach, you're up first. The biggest pet peeves in baseball.
All right, I'm going to start it off. This might get me a little controversial, but I don't. Coaches that use metal fungos. I prefer the wood fungo. So when I see the metal fungos, I just it makes me chuckle a little bit. But that's just me.
Wood fungos with the tape. Come on.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I feel like metal fungos could be dangerous. As a bench player in high school, I hit a lot of fungos. And I used to get ahead of them. I used to get some behind them. And with metal, I feel like that could be dangerous.
Yeah. And the ping of the bat is just not the same as the crack of a bat. So
feel that. Scott, you're up. Second pick.
All right. I'm going to go with pitchers who drill a guy because they hit a home run. You give up a home run. Look, there's reasons you want to throw inside and drill a guy. Fine. Unwritten rules of the game. But just because you gave up a home run, you're going to plunk into the next guy or that guy when he comes up again. Get lost with that. I hate that stuff.
All right. Well, you took mine. Well, you sort of took mine, but not really. My number 1 pick, 3rd overall pick, is unwritten rules. I think the unwritten rules in baseball are dumb. I think if they were so important, they would be rules. So, like, it's, look, don't get me wrong. You run across the pitcher's mound while the pitcher's on there. It's kind of obnoxious. But, like, let's not, want to fight A-Rod because he walked over the mound. Like, get over it. Yeah, unwritten rules are dumb. So I'm taking unwritten rules. And then with my second pick, I cannot stand the baseball fans, and this is high school, college, MLB level, minor league level, whatever it is, who act like you've been there. Dude, baseball's supposed to be fun, man. It's supposed to be fun. Give me smiles. Give me laughing. Give me, big high fives. Give me chest bumps after big plays. Like, you get to see it at the high school level, and it's great. But at the major league level, anyone ever shows emotion, they're, criminalized. They're like, oh, this player is, he's bad for the game. No, he's not. No one's watching baseball anyway. You're losing the audience. Let them have fun.
Hey, college baseball is kind of going off the rails last few days. I don't know if you guys paid attention.
I
did.
did.
The Florida situation was nuts.
Yeah, and then the LSU player had a couple choice words after he hit that home run.
They tossed that pitcher in Florida, and the guy hit a home run and wouldn't shake hands with anyone. And ran by with his arms stiff.
Yep. That was good.
I think baseball's fun, man. It's supposed to be fun. Let's have fun. Let's have fun. All right, Coach Scott, you're up with your second pick.
Yeah, my second pick is easy one. It's shows. Umpires that decide that they want to take over the game, that they want to jaw at people, that they want to make the thing about themselves. I know Coach can't talk about this, but I'm going to say it. Any umpire that does that is a clown, and it's about the kids, and it's not about you. No one came to see you.
Yeah. Good one, Scott. That's a good one. Leave it at that.
All right, Coach, you got back-to-back.
All right. This is kind of more of, just a field with no fence. Baseball fields with no fence irk me. It kind of changed the whole landscape of the game. I know every field can't have a fence. There's things might be going on that permits it, but a field with no fence, I don't know. It just doesn't feel like baseball for me. So I'm going to use that one. And then my next one is another appearance thing is close dugouts to the home plate. I hate when dugouts are so close and you're on top of home plate, because you can hear everything the other dugout is talking about. You can't talk about the umpire, and you don't have any privacy. So, close dugouts to home plate because there's a few of them in my league, and I dread going to those games. So that's it for me.
I thought you were going to give a tree in the outfield.
Yeah.
Well,
I know it's kind of probably hard to cut down a couple of trees in New Canaan.
Those New Canaan dugouts stink too, because essentially the fans are in your dugout. I mean, they're right behind you. There's no wall. Yeah. It's just a little thing. They got it. I think they're trying to move to a new field, but
the playing surface up at Mead Park was great.
The field's great. But the tree is ridiculous, and the bench situation is bad, and the little league backstop is no good either. Because you pop it up, it hits the top of the cage every time. Greenwich and New Canaan both have that. Hate it. Hate the little league backstop. But that's not my pick. Is it my turn or is it?
It is. It is your Coach Ed is he's done. Scott and then me, and then we wrap it up.
I'm going to go with the showcase superstars. We see these kids all the time. Kids who they tell us, and I love exit velo and pop times and all that stuff. But we hear all these stats, and then we go to see them in a game, and they just can't perform in a game. They don't have the baseball skills to play in a game. And sometimes these kids are signed to like D1 colleges, and we go to watch them. So those kids, that stuff annoys me a little bit when we hear about them, and it's all just from showcase stuff. None of it's from games.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, I was going to piggyback on that, but I'm going to go a different direction, and then we can talk about it after politely. But my final one, I am going to go with the people, and it's a little bit combo of the two that I mentioned earlier, but the people who are like, well, back in my day, and it's like, yeah, like baseball changed, like sports change, like things change, like baseball is not the same game it was 30 years ago. Baseball is not the same game it was when I was in high school, which is, as I get older, becomes far and far away. But baseball, the game's changed. And I think the unwillingness to adapt to the change, I think, is detrimental to your program, the players on your team. I think, embrace change. And I think it's more fun that way. And I think it's the way baseball is going. But like the ones who are like, well, back in my day, we didn't do this. It's great. That was your day. And I'm glad you had a great time, but it's 2023 now. The game's a little different. So that's my direct shot at my father, who I love very much, and is an avid listener of this podcast, and is my number one fan. But Easter, Christmas, every year I'm buying him new like sabermetrics books. I'm like, understand the new game of baseball. He's like, I don't understand why Aaron Judge is batting first. You need him in the middle of the lineup with guys on. It's like, yeah, but you want him to have more at bats than the other guy. Like, I don't know about you. Yeah. I'd rather Aaron Judge get 5 at-bats than DJ LeMahieu, but that's just me.
100% right.
So this is just all family conversations. Like, Easter was heated talking about, like, what the Yankees are going to do. So that one's for you, Dad. Love you.
That was a good draft. I like pet peeves. That
was a good draft. Oh, we could go on, man. Talk about those showcase superstars. All the different ages.
I got a whole list here. I mean, come on. Didn't even get to the wave, at games or that messy dugouts or any of that stuff.
No, those showcase stuff that drives me crazy.
Yeah,
that's for a whole nother podcast. If you want to talk about that, I could do a whole nother podcast about all that stuff.
Yeah, it's the thing that really drives me crazy. And like the programs that are on social media and they do a really good job of promoting their kids and posting the stuff they're doing, they never ever post where these kids go to school. And that drives me insane. It's like, cool, this kid's doing this kid's committed here. I have no idea who he is, or I have no idea what school he plays for. Cause like to them, they don't play for a school. They just play for their team. And like, for me, I don't really care about what team they play for in the summer. I care about paying attention to, these kids during the high school season and being able to go out and see them. And if I don't know where they go, that's one thing that just drives me bananas.
Mm-hmm. Listen. Well, I just want to say that's what, I love the Legion setup as compared to the AAU club team. It's very, very different. I mean, like I said, I can do a whole other podcast about that, but that's why I prefer coaching Legion, because in Legion, you're more geared to playing for something, a state title, a New England title, World Series. or zone championship. There's a website, standings. People know how you're doing. There's a following. You play for these clubs, you showcase. You're going to some showcase tournament, something like that. Nobody knows how you did. Nobody knows if you won. And if you did, nobody, there's no following of it. It's kind of more just, within your team. That's why I love the Legion, format, because you compete for something. I'm a big believer on competing for something when you're playing baseball. Team sport, so compete for something. And that keeps everybody more focused on it and not so individualized.
Yeah, absolutely. Competing and trying to win something is always better than just.
That's all it's about at the end of the day.
Yeah,
it really is, right? I mean, that's how you make those memories, like those memories I made last summer. I'll never forget the rest of my life.
And the kids won't either.
Like I said,
those 10 kids you had there, whatever it was, the last game. I mean,
it was 10. We started with 15, Scott, and we had 10. That's why we couldn't go to regional. We didn't have enough guys. I had injuries and this and that, and it was 10 guys for the last 16 games, and we won 15 of them.
That was awesome.
It was a great group.
Incredible.
It was a great atmosphere up there too at Palmer that last game.
Oh, love Palmer.
No, it was instead of we had a delayed pylon. Remember that? Remember we did that?
Like, should we celebrate?
Those kids that they're so calm and cool and collected. They didn't know how to celebrate. I'm like, guys, you guys are supposed to go a little, show a little emotion here. But other than that, it was great.
Well, listen, Coach, we really appreciate you taking the time to do this during the day. Best of luck to Abbott Tech. I'm definitely going to come up and check out this field now. For the story I'm doing on fields, I'm excited to see it. So I'll be up there. I'll figure out which game or which practice I got to come up to, but I'll be there.
Yeah, when the weather gets a little nice, come on up, bring Pete. We'll take some BP. Make a whole day out of it.
Ooh, I got to stretch.
I would like to see that in person. Yeah.
Sounds good to me. I'm down. So.
Well, thank you, Coach. We really appreciate your time.
Hey, thank you, guys.
We are back on High and Tight. That's a really good interview. Our first CTC coach on the team. Those guys obviously have so many other things that they're dealing with besides athletics and baseball, and for them to have a good, legitimate program, I think it's just good for everybody up there.
Yeah, he's very. We see him out there on Twitter. He's always pumping up his guys. Always doing a good job. The Legion stuff, Coach and Danbury, they won the state title last year in Legion. It's nice to see the success. I covered when they lost in the CTC finals. He brought it up before we jumped on the interview. He's like, that was one of the hardest interviews I ever had to do. And then he's like, we'll be back. Like, we have a lot of guys back. We will be back. And they were. It's a really good program. And we talked about the struggles of being, a CTC coach and all the extra stuff you had to do. And I mean, he's kind of the right guy for that job, for all to undertake all the other stuff. It is really fascinating. So I'm so glad he was able to join the show.
Yeah, really fun. And the draft was fun too, which I'm sure we'll all see on TikTok and Instagram later. But this was another good episode. We will be back next week with another episode of High and Tight. For Pete, I'm Scott. We'll see you next week on High and Tight.
Love you all.